Hello and welcome to another Lighthouse Wellness Community podcast. My name is Donagh McKeown.
My name is Frank O'Connor. The Lighthouse Wellness Community. This program is designed to encourage open conversation around wellness, mindfulness, and healing. As part of the Irish diaspora, Donna and I would like to bring an Irish dimension to this conversation. Our hope is to break through the stigma surrounding mental health issues and to bring awareness to the many ways of recovery and the many ways to a healthy way of life.
And how are you, Frank?
Good, Donna. Good. We've been gone for a week or two. We missed a week, I think. Yeah. So it's good to be back in the chair. And we thought tonight to speak about, we were speaking before we got on the air, about what is it when we say, I am who I am, or my thinking was, I am not the thinking mind, to tease that out a little bit, because that's where so much of the trouble comes from, this thinking mind of ours.
So what you're saying is that Donagh McKeown is not the super genius that he thought he was, or the super instrument to cause himself grief and torture, that there's something above all that.
Yeah, I mean, in my own case, Donna, and I'm sure because we've shared so much, you've said to me similar things. In my own case, so much of my trouble, so-called trouble, came from thinking, what I would call wrong thinking, or stinking thinking, or crazy thinking. You can put all sorts of labels on it. I was giving you an example earlier. In doing my mindfulness training, part of that I had to do daily meditation for about an hour. And in the midst of all of that, as I was consistently doing an hour, sometimes more, 2 hours a day, I got into a very strong rhythm of mindfulness meditation. And I sat one day right here on this couch, having come out of a mindfulness meditation, with this deep awareness that I didn't want to leave the awareness. And the awareness was one that all is well. All is well, exactly as it is. There's nothing that I need to do. And now that seems like a very simple thing to say, but in it was a profound truth for me, because before I was always trying to figure things out, and in that moment I got that awareness that there's nothing to figure out, Frank. The universe is unfolding exactly as it needs to. And I don't see any untruth in that. I mean, how well has my ego served me? Not very well. Not very well at all. It has got me into a lot of trouble. And when I think about all the times that let me put it this way. I thought so many times that ego was, I want people to like me. I want to be liked. I want to be, people to say, oh, Frank's a nice guy, whatever. And in actual fact, so much of that is just wrapped up in my own self-centeredness, which is not in my own benefit. I was talking to somebody during the week who's gone through a little rough patch. And my question to that person was, if your friend was going through what you're just going through right now, would you have compassion and understanding for your friend? And for most of us, and in his case, the answer was, yeah, I absolutely would. So then my question was, why not have compassion for yourself? So then what's doing the self-harm? What's preventing me from having self-compassion? The ego becomes involved again. That thinking mind, I am not good enough. I don't deserve. I mean, on and on it goes. It begins this circular motion of crazy, not healthy thinking.
So I understand it to some degree that there's a higher power working in all of this. Does that mean I should become like a zombie then? Because that could be what you describe as a zombie. They don't think, that it's a whole story of fiction, as it were. But do you become a zombie mind where you just don't think and you just go on instinct? I mean, that's one option, isn't it?
So if I go, there are two aspects to that. One, if we want to go spiritual, religious, whatever people want to call it, the concept of something outside of ourselves, a higher power. And we can even come away from that to people who are very agnostic or atheistic, but there's still that element of the superconscious mind, the inner self. There's still something beyond the thinking mind. So if when I go back to that moment of quietness that I was talking about, there's somebody that I like a lot. His name is Muji. Actually he's from England, Jamaican and Chinese origin, and you can find him on YouTube. He now lives in Portugal. Kind of a spiritual healer and teacher. But one of the things he says, which I like a lot, is if you just sit still and let things bubble up to the surface, the answers are available. I just have to be able to be quiet enough to access them. Now, whether one calls that, or whether I call that a higher power or God, or I choose to call that, from a humanistic point of view, the super mind or the super consciousness, I don't really care what somebody calls it. It doesn't alter the fact that there's something going on there that's beyond what we're normally accessing. And what I was the main reason I want to go to that place is what I was normally accessing for most of my life was not in my best interest. It was causing me harm. And in the process of that, I was causing other people harm as well.
You were chasing what other people thought about you to self-boost yourself, as it were. If I do what that person thinks, I'll be a better person, or I'll be more important to that person or to right. Society, that kind of thing.
Exactly, Donna. Yeah. And then with that comes then the second part of that, which is the addictive part, which is, if I can get this, I'll be okay. Maybe if we can get the Mercedes car, I'll be okay. Or if we could own our own home, and then you get to the point, maybe we could have a second home or a third home, or whatever the addictive behavior is. On and on it goes until I find, or in my case, absolutely found out, it didn't matter what was coming. It was never going to be enough.
It's that contradiction. It's what the advertiser pushes towards you, the lack of confidence in yourself that this will make you a better person. I mean, that's how the principle works. And yet, in the other sense of things, you will know, we've talked about it often enough, that if you don't have a sense of your own security, as it were, or believe that you're secure, you will strive to hold on to other things for that security. So it's kind of a contradiction in ways, isn't it?
Tell me more about...
when you think that, someone says you have to have a house to be fulfilled, you do need a house or a roof over your head to kind of keep you away from the wind and the rest of it. There is obviously one side of us wanting to own a nice house that other people think it's great, but we do need to feel that we can sleep somewhere in a safe environment night on night. So there's somewhere between all of those two, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the basics necessary for human existence: food, health, shelter, and a loving situation. As human beings, we need all of those things. But most of that is fairly, for most people, and I don't want to be demeaning people, but for most people, that's achievable. A roof over our head, enough food on the table, and a secure place with loving companionship around me. Again, there are parts of our world where that becomes very, very difficult. But I don't want to. That's another conversation. What I'm saying, though, give me an example. Sometimes that's not enough anyway. I remember sitting in when I lived in Alabama, sitting in that house, which was a beautiful home, with my family around me, and I remember thinking, wow, I am now 6,000 miles or so away from Ireland, from my original home. I still have my kids here. We have a nice home. There's a TV in the corner. We have food on the table. Why am I still discontent? Because originally I thought, if we do a geographical move, all will be well. And then moving somewhere else, the one common denominator that I was left with was I was sitting in a space where there was only Frank. And there was still discontent. So the roof over the head, over my head wasn't making me okay. Food on the table wasn't making me okay. The car in the driveway wasn't making me okay. What was going on was the question.
So the who am I? We have looked at who am I before.
Yeah.
That the disillusionment with property, with things. It's hard. It's not even a disillusionment. I think it's a gift in the end of the day, not to be dependent on it. I have a certain addiction to, for example, technology, where I believe that holding on to technology is something that I like to do and aspire to do, and yet I realise that it's a again of a poison in a way too, that wanting to have it and wanting to be involved and engaged in it is kind of detrimental. Whereas if I drop the idea of technology and I just talk to the person beside me, it really puts me in that better space, that community space or otherwise. So I can identify with that easily enough. A lot of people want the security of money. That's one of the key things. So are we saying dismiss all that to find out who we really are, or that higher power, or I mean, do we live a life of poverty? Do we give up all kind of those tangible kind of consumer things?
I mean, as we know, some people choose to do that, to leave it all behind. We talked earlier on, you and I, about one of my favorites, St. Francis of Assisi. Well, I mean, he chose, like many other mystics and people, spiritual seekers, to leave it all behind. I'm not saying that at all. If somebody chooses to do that, well, amen, God bless you. For 99% of us, that's not going to happen. We're left with sitting in the space that we're in. My question is, if I have a storehouse full of cars, a storehouse full of things and stuff, and I like you, I like my technology, I like my keyboards and different things, and I enjoy them. But it's not at the end of the day who I truly am, and it's not bringing me that satisfaction. I can also have a storehouse of memories, which can also cause deep disturbance to me as a human being. So what am I left with? What I'm left with is the present moment. And again, we're back to how many times have you and I spoken about that? When I strip everything away, and as I was sitting right here behind me on that particular day after my meditation, that's what I was aware of, that moment where nothing matters other than right now. Because right now, in this moment, Frank, there's peace of mind. I was content, I was at ease, I was at peace, and I had no need for anything or anybody or any place. I was in that space.
I was pretty tough at the start, talking about developing a zombie mind where you don't think, removing thinking from it. The truth of it might be that you get to that point where you're entirely happy in the moment, and then you positivize that and bring, if you like, purpose to that present moment, that you bring that awareness of yourself and surroundings, and perhaps, though you can't always do it, to bring awareness to others, that you're making the next conscious movement within the moment, that you're developing something that is of value to other people, not for the benefit of you yourself, but for the benefit of the other people and of a society in general. Is that perhaps where this should lead, if you get to that point? Because otherwise you are being just the zombie. I don't want to see anyone. I'm perfectly happy in isolation in my own home, being at one with the universe.
So I had a mentor one time who said to me, the greatest gift, Frank, the greatest gift that you can give your children, your family, is to be well yourself. Because if I'm not okay, I can't give away what I don't have. So if I'm in a place of peace and contentment and ease, my natural instinct immediately was, I want to share this with other people. And you hear that over and over again. When somebody finds a space of contentment and ease and peace of mind, the natural instinct is then, oh my gosh, I know people who are suffering. I can help other people get out of this. So that's kind of what begins to happen, Donna.
I understand that. I think we've gone out of picture there for a little while, but
Oh,
we're still
okay.
here.
Okay.
We're back on board. You mentioned about St. Francis of Assisi and his most famous kind of words that will resonate. And I don't know all of them, but I know the principle. Lord, let me be an instrument of thy peace. Lord, let me be, where there is hardship, let me bring relief or otherwise. So his mission is based around that kind of certainty of where he came from, that serenity of being at peace with the universe, and then spreading the message, if you like. That's a clear example of what we're talking about.
Yeah, there's something about that instinct of once I'm doing okay myself, the only thing that I can do then is go to share that with other people. Now, the first challenge, of course, is, am I okay with myself? It always comes back to that. I was speaking to another friend of mine this week who's dealing with major depression and addiction, but in recovery. And again, the whole focus was to him, please think about yourself. Please, if you can get well with yourself, if you're going to be okay in your own space, you will absolutely help other people. How many people do we see all the time who, as a result of their own recovery, whatever that may mean, whether it's mental illness, emotional illness, coming out of a bereavement, coming out of addiction, coming out of money troubles, immediately moving on and being able to help other people. But coming out of jail, how many people have come out of jail and said, "Ooh, I learned some serious lessons right there. Now, what can I do with that?" The thing to do with it then is to help the next person, pass it on.
It's getting to the point where you realize that, and I suppose that's what any of us want to be, the realization that you're in a good place, and then from that good place, as you say, if you're not in a good place, it's not worthless to try and help others, but it's so much more empowering for them if you're in the good place to kind of help them move forward.
Yeah, because even if I'm in a rough spot, I can always be honest with the other person, say, "Hey, I'm willing to be here and be of assistance. I just need you to know I'm going through, I'm not in the best space myself." That's honest and that's truthful. And in that way, that can be of assistance to the next person. But if I'm coming to somebody and saying, "I was where you are. I experienced the same pain. I know what it is to be deeply depressed. I know what it is to not want to live another day. And I found a way out. And let me share with you the things that I did. And here's how I feel today." That's a whole different ballgame.
I'm thinking back to someone who does that with really good work. We talked to Joan Friedman on one of our previous podcasts, and the whole idea of Pieta House and Solace, the organisation that's now growing up in the United States, where they have a number of these kind of suicide intervention places, and that's exactly the point that she's come from. How can I help others and expand? I mention it because on the 19th of this month, 19th of May, the Solace Group are organising a very early morning walk, Darkness into Light. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. It's here in San Francisco. They're walking across the bridge of San Francisco, the Golden Gate. So if you kind of look at the bottom of this, I'll give a kind of connection and direction to them, because that is one of the exact principles of what we're talking about. Someone who's perhaps not even come through the circumstance, but had the empathy and realization to help others, that this was a way forward. So just to point that out when we're kind of talking
Great.
about
And I'm
this.
sure, I know they'll be doing that in Ireland and other places.
And they are. They do.
Throughout the world as well.
They are certainly Darkness into Light walks right across the planet, and on the same morning, as far as I'm aware.
Excellent. And again, that brings me to that point of where we were. If I'm can be mindful, be mindful, just be present, and sit with that just for because here's what happens. If I can't sit and be quiet, what's happening is the racing is going on. The thinking mind is running rampant and running the show, and it's just. And when I think about that too, if you've ever sat for a moment, one of the principles of mindfulness is just to sit for a moment and watch the mind. just be an observer for a moment. Say, okay, mind, I'm here. I'm going to observe what's going on. And there's just a series sometimes of random thoughts that I would think were highly organized. But as I observe them, I see this is a bunch of randomness really going on. There's not a whole lot of sense. And they're sprouting up from all sorts of places and bringing in with them feelings that are detrimental to me. So if I can be mindful and stay present and just be in the moment, and sometimes that means taking attention away from the thinking mind, whether that's through breathing, through music, through guided meditation, and there's lots of wonderful instruments out there. Insight Timer is a great one that's free. Headspace is a great one that's freely available. And also lots of wonderful guided meditations on YouTube, Amazon Music. Just seek it out, folks, and spend some time in what I call the space.
It's a really good tool, as we know, for the individual. The truth is too, and as you know, they're building mindfulness classes into lots of schools, certainly in Ireland and England and around the world, and in America too. It's equally applicable in any source and sense of life, particularly in business. More and more businesses are looking at this as an opportunity and a way forward of first of all, offering care for their workforce, as it were, but also a way forward for their kind of industry or business, because mindfulness, when used within business, can be so enlightening to the individual who's running the company, the group collective. It builds that kind of community within community. So that's a really big step forward for lots of businesses too.
Huge thing on that, Don. I'm glad you brought that up. As you know, my wife Carrie is an executive coach, and she's working in corporate America all the time. And her and I are right now actually putting together a program to bring to corporate America, not because it was something I really wanted to do, but we've been requested from her points of contact, I should say, in the business world to do that. And I thought about that. Why? What's the deal with corporate America? It's actually pretty simple. If somebody's running a team or owns a company and they have a bunch of stressed out employees, which many of them do, that's not very productive. So even from a mercenary point of view, it's in a company's best interest to have mindfulness be brought into their company and corporation. So Carrie and I will be working on that. And if you have any folks out there in corporate America that want any more information on what that looks like, please reach out and I can share lots of information about that. And then finally, but I also wanted to mention, every Wednesday through the month of May, we have mindfulness, I call Celtic mindfulness, available here in Sonoma County. I'm at One Mind Dharma in Petaluma. I lead a class at 7 p.m. on every single Wednesday, at least all 5 Wednesdays through the month of May. And if you want to experience mindfulness, please come along. And we do it in a threefold way. One, through guided meditation with breathing, and we'll teach you how to do that in the class. Secondly, through the use of music, because music is a wonderful way to bring attention away from the thinking mind to a space that's quiet. And thirdly, through chanting, which is a very ancient way. And in our case, we're using Celtic chanting from our own tradition. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows. Sonoma, Marin County, Napa County, we're close by. Come on over and see us. One Mind Dharma, 7 p.m. every Wednesday through the month of May.
Worth going to, worth considering. A little bit far from me where I'm living, but we're working on that, aren't we?
We're going to get some done in San Francisco too, for sure.
Okay. That should be pretty cool. Who am I? Pare it all back. The regular meditation will be about that today.
Yeah, we will take our daily meditation, which we do at the end of every class, and focus it around release from the thinking mind and going to a space of quiet, peace, calmness.
So we'll take that right now.
Okay, everybody. Welcome to our mindfulness meditation section for today. And as we said, we're going to focus in on taking a few moments away from our thinking mind to a different space, to something that goes beyond the physical mind, the thinking process, to the space where, even though I'm not thinking, life is vibrant and alive. So in order to do that, we're going to go through a simple process of relaxation first. So just go to a little body scan. And let's start at the top of our head. And just looking for any tightness that may be there, any tension. And an easy way to do that is to, if you just think of your head and your face and squeeze those muscles tightly for a moment, just to bring them into conscious awareness, and then release those muscles. Bringing awareness of relaxation to our head area. Now let's do the same thing in our neck and shoulders. Just looking for any areas of tightness or tension. And again, if you want to just tighten those muscles up, neck and shoulder muscles, bringing your shoulders up into your neck area and hold for a moment and then release. Just feeling that tension moving away. Now bringing our attention to our chest and belly area. And for a moment just tightening all the muscles in those areas, chest and belly muscles. And hold for a moment. And release and feel the tension leaving, bringing in relaxation to those areas. Bringing attention now to our legs, our calf and thigh muscles, down into our feet. And just momentarily squeeze all those muscles together. Hold for a moment and let them go. Now bringing relaxation to the lower extremities of our physical being. And we do that just to be conscious and aware of the body that we inhabit. Now let's spend a few moments on breathing. And the idea is a very simple one. Through breath and bringing awareness to breath, we will take attention and awareness away from our thinking mind. And a simple way to do that is to breathe from 1 to 10 in the following way. Breathing in and out to the count of 1. Breathing in and out to the count of 2. Breathing in and out to the count of 3. Breathing in and out to the count of 4. Breathing in and out to the count of 5. And continuing on to the count of 10. And when you reach 10, simply begin again at 1. If you find yourself wandering away from the breathing, just gently, very gently, bring awareness back to breathing and just simply begin the count at 1 again. Same thing if you find yourself going beyond the count of 10. Just gently bring awareness back to the number 1 and breathe in and out to the count of 1. And in that gentle process of breathing and bringing awareness and attention to the breath, we take a break from the thinking mind, and we get to experience what it is to go beyond the thinking mind, to be mindful in the very absolute present moment. Now, to take that a step further, we're going to bring our attention now to the music and the chanting. And again, the idea is a simple one. Just take a few moments, bring attention to the music and chanting that you're about to hear. Relax, enjoy, and just be present with it. And I'll come back in a few moments. Moladaya Mara Moladaya Moladaya Mara Moladaya Mara Tarayana Taray Tarayya Taray Moladaya Mara Moladaya Moladaya Mara Moladaya 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 Mara Moladaya Mara Moladaya Mara Moladaya Mara. And let's bring your attention back to my voice. Remind ourselves that in the past few moments we were able to experience the presence of now, the isness of just being. If you were able to stay present with the music and the chanting, just know that is living in the present moment, free from the thinking, chaotic mind as it is for many of us. Just knowing that this presence is available to us as human beings at all times. Anytime we need respite, anytime we need peace, anytime we need to feel connected, this is available. A reminder that in this space we touch who we truly are. We touch the pure essence of being, the essence of what was here before, and the essence of what will be here after. The oneness we spoke about a little earlier in the podcast. Now let's bring ourselves back to the awareness of our physical being. Just feel your feet touching the ground. Feel your seat, sitting in the seat, and the support that that seat brings. And consciously being aware of the room that we're in. And making a decision to bring this peaceful feeling with us, at least for the remainder of this day. And I'll leave you with this thought, that this oneness, this peacefulness is always here, waiting for us to return. Thank you for joining us again today on our podcast, and I leave you with peace and tranquility through our meditation. And I wish peace, kindness and compassion to all living beings. Namaste, my friends.
So once again, thank you, Frank, for another meditation that brought us to a wonderful place. Of course, we can repeat that at any time. You just don't have to go through the whole procedure. You can get to the meditative point and just play that and play that and play that. And you're producing more music, more kind of meditative music too. It's out there at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a number of tracks. If you just look up Facebook, you'll see, or Twitter, Frank O Connor Donagh McKeown, either one of us, you'll see access to the music that's available. There's a whole album called Celtic Mindfulness, available on both Amazon and iTunes and CD Baby. If you go to CD Baby and just put in Francis or Frank O'Connor, it'll pop up there. And that's about 60 minutes of mindfulness, meditative music that you can use for the purpose of mindfulness. And more to come. I just wanted to mention quickly, I have a number of people, quite a few, ask us about expanding on the guided meditation, which we do usually 10 minutes or so at the end of every podcast. And John and I are definitely working on that. I promise soon we will have, 20 and 30-minute meditations that will be available for everybody that you can, download and put on your phone and then use yourself at home.
One other thing which is not related, but it's not unrelated, we're doing an Irish stories and song night in Sacramento, actually Roseville, north of Sacramento. So look at the bottom of the page too for a link to that. There'll be a certain amount of that meditation music, maybe one or two, but we'll be telling Irish stories and Irish songs and singing, and Carrie will be there too. It should be a great night of fun.
Yeah, that looks like a really fun night. Again, using the ability to stay mindful and be in the present moment and just sit back and enjoy song and story is a wonderful way to be present and mindful. So yeah, please come join us in Roseville, California on May the 12th,
May 12th.
Saturday.
May the
12th,
Saturday.
yeah. Look for the link below.
So thank you very much for watching and listening to the Lighthouse Wellness Community Podcast. My name is Donagh McKeown.
My name is Frank O'Connor. Namaste.